The Texas wildfire tragedy. The ignition? It started with a spark. A gust of dry wind over the Texas plains, a flicker of light near a power line, and within moments, flames erupted. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, the horizon glowed orange as a wildfire unlike any in decades began to devour everything in its path. Local ranchers watched helplessly as the fire jumped roads and fields, turning grasslands into waves of heat. Within hours, the blaze grew into a raging inferno. Meteorologists later called it one of the fastest-spreading wildfires in modern Texas history. Smoke blanketed the sky, visible from space. The fire, fueled by 50-mile-per-hour winds and weeks of drought, consumed thousands of acres within a single night. Families fled as emergency alerts blared across phones and radio stations. By sunrise, the Texas Panhandle was unrecognizable, black at earth, burning fences, and silence broken only by the crackle of smoldering ruins. It was no longer just a wildfire. It was a state emergency. The human toll. When the fire reached the small towns of Fritch and Canadian, it came faster than anyone could have prepared for. Residents had minutes to evacuate. Roads jammed with cars, animals, and people desperate to escape. Volunteer firefighters, many with no sleep for over 24 hours, battled flames taller than power poles. In heartbreaking scenes, families lost everything: homes, barns, and generations of memories. One rancher said, "It was like watching the world end in front of you." The fire just kept coming. As dawn broke, the true scale of destruction became clear. Over 500,000 acres burned. Entire neighborhoods reduced to ash. Livestock losses were devastating. Thousands of cattle perished, many trapped behind fences. And yet, amid the tragedy, there were stories of courage. Neighbors rescuing strangers, farmers risking their lives to save animals, and communities forming human chains to guide families through the smoke. The governor declared a disaster emergency, mobilizing the National Guard. But for many, help came too late. The fire had already rewritten their lives. The battle to contain. Fire crews from across the United States poured into Texas. Convoys of red engines lined highways, bringing hope to towns on the edge of destruction. Helicopters circled above, dropping thousands of gallons of water and fire retardant. But the winds, relentless and unpredictable, kept pushing the flames forward. Firefighters described the battle as a monster with a mind of its own. Every containment line that was built was broken within hours. Trees exploded in bursts of fire. The heat was so intense that metal warped, and tires melted on the road. By day 4, more than 1,200 personnel were fighting the inferno. The sky remained a hazy red. Satellite images showed vast stretches of Texas glowing like embers in the night. It wasn't just about controlling the blaze anymore. It was about survival. Crews worked in shifts of exhaustion and bravery, knowing that every minute saved another life, another home, another town. Aftermath and resilience. When the fire finally began to die, it left behind a scar stretching hundreds of miles. The Texas Panhandle looked like a war zone. Barns twisted, power poles toppled, pastures reduced to soot. But in the ashes, resilience began to bloom. Neighbors helped each other rebuild. Volunteers arrived with food, water, and supplies. Churches became shelters. Schools opened their doors to displaced families, and firefighters were greeted as heroes. Local communities organized relief drives across the state. Donations poured in from across America, proof that even in tragedy, compassion travels faster than flames. Environmental scientists began studying the fire's aftermath, warning that increasing droughts and rising temperatures were making the Southwest a tinderbox. "This isn't the last," one expert said. "It's the beginning of a new reality." But Texans refused to be defined by loss. In small towns, people gathered at sunset to pray, rebuild, and share stories. Because even after the fire, one truth remained: you can burn the land, but not the spirit of those who call it home. As the embers fade and the land cools, what remains is not just the memory of destruction, but the strength of people who refuse to give up. From Texas firefighters who face the impossible, to families rebuilding one fence post at a time, this story is a reminder that hope is stronger than flame. In every tragedy, there's a lesson, a truth we must carry forward, that our planet is changing, and our choices matter. Climate isn't a distant concept. It's here, shaping lives, rewriting landscapes, and testing our resilience. The Texas wildfire wasn't just nature's fury, it was a message. To everyone watching, ask yourself, what role can you play in preventing the next disaster? Sometimes, it starts with awareness, sometimes with compassion, and sometimes with action. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Hit that like button to help spread awareness. Subscribe to VividTruth TV for more real stories that reveal the power, pain, and perseverance of our world. And turn on the notification bell, so you never miss the truths that matter most. Because the world deserves more than headlines, it deserves understanding. And together, we can keep the truth alive.